a ascension coach and energy healer. Today we're doing spiritual chats, and we're going to talk about all things manifesting, because there's a lot that goes with that, and so I wanted to dive in deep. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe so you can see more workshops like this. And if you're watching live, remember to follow, and so you can see more workshops as well. And I'm doing a TikTok live right now, so if you see me talking to people, it's people in the comments for my YouTube people. Okay, so when we are manifesting, it is 3 steps that we need. This can be your formula, if you will. We need emotions, visualizing, and rituals. So the ritual is some type of practice that you're continuing to do with your subconscious, so it really sets in and keeps your mind on abundance and prosperity. And so we're going to talk about all 3 of these more in depth. So emotions. Emotions are the fuel for manifestations. Because when we are talking about manifesting a house, manifesting more money, manifesting a new career, better relationships with our family, it's not always about the actual physical manifestation. It's more about how that thing is going to make us feel. Is it going to make us feel happy, abundant, joyful, blissful, peaceful, magical, whimsical, all these wonderful things? That's what we actually want. We want to be in that vibration and frequency. When you start focusing on the emotions underneath the manifestations instead of the actual physical things, then you start opening up the window of opportunity for things that you didn't even ask for. Like, everything in your life starts revolving around those frequencies. But when you're pigeonholing and like hyper focusing on 3D dense material things, it kind of takes the fun and the magic out of it, and you're only focused on those like 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 things, right? House, career, car, those things. But now we want to ask the universe, I want to feel this, and whatever that entails, bring it to me. Okay, because when we start having better conversations with people, we start having better opportunities show up for us, we start receiving money out of nowhere. Because here's an example, like if we're asking for more money in our job, right? That's only one way to receive that. But if we're saying, I want to feel blissful and happy and peaceful with money, now the universe has way more options to bring you money in many different ways. And that works with all manifestations. And so when we're talking about the emotions, shame, guilt, fear, worry, all of anger, sadness, all of those heavier, denser ones, sometimes we don't want to feel our emotions because they're icky and yucky. Okay, but when we don't feel those things and we kind of like sweep them under the rug and we're not processing them, they become stress and anxiety, and then they can turn into depression, and they can cause a lot of chaos in your life and cause like mental fogginess. And so even though money and manifestations don't seem like they're correlated with trauma energy, they are. Because if you're living in a very heavy bogged down frequency from all of those things, it clouds your mind to everything else. And if you're living in stress and anxiety and fear, it blocks, from an evolutionary biology standpoint, it blocks all of your imagination and creativity. Because from a human standpoint, if a tiger is chasing you, okay, that is all you're worried about getting away from. So that could look like, just whatever you're worried about in life. We don't have tigers chasing us, but we're constantly under stress in this world. Okay, you don't have to be, but a lot of us are like hardwired and hard set to be caught in this loop of stress and anxiety all the time, and always in fight or flight, and our central nervous system always activated. So if you're feeling very stuck and stagnant in your life, it's probably because your imagination and creation and all these upper chakras up here are probably closed down, because you're way too in the bottom chakras. And when we're experiencing trauma loops and behavioral patterns over and over and over again, we're living from our bottom chakras. Okay, and that's safety and security, that's how we feel about ourselves in the world, it's how we perceive the world. And so it really changes out our filter lenses if we are not processing that stuff. And it's nobody's fault most of the time, because we're not really taught as children a lot of times how to process our emotions, or maybe we haven't felt safe to do so. Like for the majority of my life, hey Nadia, for the majority of my life, I was like disassociated up out of my body. Like what are emotions? I would never feel my emotions. I would compartmentalize them and analyze them and like observe them, but I didn't know what it meant to actually feel those things in my body, because I never felt safe to do that, because as a child there's a lot of trauma stuff, and so I had to stuff all that stuff down and just get through to tomorrow. Okay, and I get that, but that can't be a forever going thing, because in order to bring your manifestations in, you have to feel the feelings. You have to feel your emotions, because that's the fuel. But until you bust through all of those icky yucky ones and really sit with your thoughts and process that stuff, it's going to be more difficult to get in those upper frequencies of bliss and harmony and peace, those magical feelings of elatedness. And I'm not saying we don't always, don't have sad days or angry or frustrated. Like, that's fine. That's part of the human experience, is to like feel things. But it's different when you are just constantly sitting in them, not processing, or we're just saying, I'll worry about that later. It's not a big deal. It really is a big deal. Like, I had the hardest time manifesting because I was trying to use my mind to do that, and manifestation is not a mind thing. It is when it comes to like deprogramming certain beliefs that you hold, and we'll get further into that, but emotions are where it's at. Like with money, if you are feeling stress, anxious, fearful, even angry at money, right, you're pouring more energy into receiving that back for money. It works like an algorithm. Like, what you pour in is what you get out. So unless you have like joyful, fun, magical, whimsical, like blissful feelings about money, you're just gonna get more of this icky yucky stuff. But until you sit down and figure out, why am I feeling those things about money, instead of just like putting it off until later, just being like, oh, it's not a big deal, then you're just gonna be caught in that loop over and over again, and it's gonna be very difficult to manifest from that place. Okay, so how do we start clearing these blocks out? And is this resonating for anybody? Does this make sense? I want to make sure I'm conveying it clearly. So most of our feelings, yes, okay, great, thank you. Perfect. Okay, so most of our feelings, right, these emotions are coming from childhood. These feelings of anger and sadness and frustration, we can be experiencing them in adulthood, in the here and now, but a lot of those have rooted places from childhood. Okay, so like, let's take money and say money is the root of all evil. If you are not going back and healing your inner children, it's going to be hard to let that one go, because you can work on your subconscious mind all day long as an adult, because you consciously know that's not true. But the reason that you're caught in that loop still, even though you're doing all this work, is because your consciousness level is at that child's age. Like, if you heard that when you were 5 years old, and then every step you took afterwards, you're looking through the lens of that 5-year-old with money as the root of all evil. You have to go back and heal your inner children, where these things came from. And not everything comes from inner child. Like, sometimes young adult. When I say inner child, I just mean younger versions of you. But from 1 to 7 is when we receive most of the programming from our parents and teachers and guardians. And then our personality is really like pretty solid by the time we're 7, 8, 9 years old. And so when I'm working with clients, typically when we're doing these past version healings and going back in with their inner children, we can go all the way to a root when they're very, very, very young. You have to talk to that inner child about these things on a child level. Like, you can't talk to them like an adult. Mainly they need safety and security. Like, hey, it's totally okay if you process your emotions. Like, I'm here for you and I love you, and this is a safe space for us to do that. Because they have been holding all of this anger and frustration and sadness and fear in your body for years. They are just holding it in their hands. Okay? And so it's important for you as the higher self to start doing this deeper internal shadow work in order to do these deeper releases. So if you're feeling very stuck and stagnant in life and things aren't moving and progressing, it's probably time to go in there at a deeper level and start healing them. Because there's a level where you heal your subconscious mind and your programming, but then you got to go deeper in with the kids or younger versions of you. So I'll give you examples. So I had done so much work around money mindset. Like, I went to school for psychology, so I was like in it, okay? And I was just constantly doing affirmations and journaling and all the stuff. And like, I knew on my adult conscious level, the things that I believed from childhood weren't true. Money is the root of all evil. Rich people are evil. I grew up in a religious household, so it was, you shouldn't be, going after money. You should leave that until you get to the other side, to heaven, to get your riches or whatever. Okay. So the further I dug back into connecting with my inner children, my grandparents adopted me when I was about 12 years old, me and my sister, and it cost so much money, like so much money to adopt us. And it was this huge core battle with my mom, and it was like this whole thing. And I realized that little me felt like I had to heal the relationship with my grandparents by proving my worth to them, that I was worth keeping for that amount of money. Okay. That followed me for the rest of my life, where I was constantly way too in my masculine energy and having to prove my worth, when at the root of abundance and prosperity, that's your birthright for existing. That was some heavy, heavy stuff to deprogram. And there are many, many layers that I had to work through with my inner children, through multiple things like that. Money is the root of all evil, like all that stuff. So many different inner children with different versions of things, different perspectives, different experiences, and I had to talk to them all in different ways. But there's only so far I could get with my adult conscious mind until I went back there with them. As soon as I started healing them with that stuff, I could literally feel the energy in my body come out, all that trauma energy. But I had to talk to them in a way that they understand and create that safe space for them to process those emotions. That inner girl within me was hurting so incredibly deeply. Like, how much of a burden is that to think that you have to prove your worth of your adoption costs? Right? I didn't even know that was in there until I kept like digging. So I had to sit with her and process that stuff, and it was not fun. I'll be honest with you, like, feeling those emotions is not super fun. But the more you do it, the more you learn to tell your body it's safe to feel those emotions, the more you tell your body it's safe to feel happy. Because that little girl did not feel like she was deserving of feeling happy or joyful or abundant. So like, how am I supposed to manifest from a place of where I don't even feel okay to be happy? Right? So that's why when I talk about inner child healing, it will take you to these heights in life that you can't even imagine. Like, or you can't imagine, but we got to go back in there and help create those safe spaces for them to feel those emotions. The reason that you don't feel safe to experience those emotions is because it's actually your inner kids inside. It's them being very scared and feeling like they're getting backed into a corner and even not knowing how to process them. So you really got to help them through it to be able to feel the good emotions, right? Because if we're constantly looking back at the past narratives, hurt, anxiety, trauma, all this stuff, you're not leaving room in your energy body to have a different experience. So you got to process through it. Okay. I resonate with you deeply. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you. I've talked about it a little bit, but I hadn't talked about that in depth before. So maybe somebody needed to hear it. So programming, that's another one that's really important. What comes up when you think about money? Like, what feelings? If it's instantaneously stress, okay, with bills and like all the things you don't have, like lack, then you're gonna get more of that. You have to reprogram your mind and your subconscious to think about positive things with money. And I'm gonna explain some more how to do that. But self-awareness is key. Okay, knowing what your self-limiting beliefs are, because if you don't know what they are, you can't heal it. Sometimes we push those and shove those things so far down because we're like, I don't want to look at that. Okay, self-limiting beliefs are your best friends. They are there to help you grow and evolve and become even more prosperous and abundant. Because if they weren't there, you don't have a backboard to grow from. Like, you'll just stay the same person and just keep experiencing the same things and keep bringing the same manifestations in if you don't have the self-limiting beliefs. So the first thing to do is like accept that and say like, it's okay and I love you for being there. Those self-limiting beliefs are also trying to keep you and your inner children safe, because there is comfortability there's safety in comfortability. It's like, let's just stay here on the status quo, then we don't have to push ourselves, there's no risk, you know what I mean? So know what your self-limiting beliefs around manifesting are, not just with money, with everything. Career, family, feeling these emotions. Write them out, because then you have a compass of what to heal, right? Because it's like, okay, well, I clearly know what they are. Okay, like one might be, I have to work super hard for my money, or I'm not capable of being a homeowner. Know what they are, and then your subconscious can start working on them. How do I heal this? Ask your subconscious. Then your subconscious will put lenses on you, okay? And so when you're going out in the world, it'll try and bring you evidence of how you can heal it, because that's how the universe works. It works like an algorithm. You ask it a question, and it will try and bring you evidence or experiences to match that. So you say, okay, how can I heal fears around being a homeowner? Then you might start having conversations with people that you didn't intentionally necessarily mean to go get, or a YouTube video comes up. Like, sometimes that's how your spirit guides nudge you into healing what you need to heal, right? So, knowing what they are, now we're going to switch into manifesting stuff. So, abundance is abundance. This is one that I learned along my journey. Is abundance does not mean always just money or manifestations. It means people offering to help you. It means compliments. It also means you finding a penny on the floor. If you can't be thankful for micro things, it's hard for the universe to bring you macro things. So if you find a penny on the floor and you say, oh, it's just a penny, the universe was trying to give you something. Or if somebody's trying to compliment you and you're not accepting that into your heart space, that's a form of abundance. That's a hard lesson I had to learn. I had a conversation with my guides one time, and they're like, how are we going to bring you all this stuff that you want when you can't even accept a compliment from somebody? Because I used to just go like this, like I didn't believe it, or I was just like, whatever. And they're like, hey, we're trying to give you these things to see if you're ready for the bigger ones. So that penny on the ground, like, what are you doing with that? Right? Oh, I just saw a heron. Oh, what a beautiful sign. We love that. A heron the bird, blue heron. So I'll give you an example of this. So And what you place your attention and energy on is what you're going to get more of. So when I was walking around one day, I saw a penny on the ground and I picked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, universe, thank you so much for this. Like, this is incredible. I'm always finding money. Money's always trying to come to me. Okay. Then I keep walking and I find a quarter and I was like, oh my gosh, I like quadrupled my amount of money I just made. Okay. I was like, this is awesome. Like, thank you, universe. And I got super excited and was like, being very thankful for my blessings. And then I found another quarter and I was like, I quintupled, or whatever that fraction okay, multiplier is. But you see, like, when you're placing your attention and energy on, you know, being open and the universe blessing you and you being thankful and thinking money is fun and joyous and happy, then all of a sudden it starts rolling in. So we have to be thankful for everything, okay? Because abundance is abundance. Take money out of it. Take the manifestations out of it. It's, how am I being blessed today? Am I being grateful? Am I being thankful? Because when you are, this is a quote, I can't remember who said it, but I love it so much. If you are being, or you can't be fearful if you are being grateful. They are completely opposite frequencies. And if you are being grateful, it will skyrocket you into a different frequency. Like, sometimes when I'm going down the negative rabbit holes, okay, and I can feel like my vibration is just going downhill, I will stop for a minute and think about some things that I'm grateful for in the day. What has happened today thus far that I am really happy and thankful for, and like really feel into those emotions. Feel into how happy having that wonderful cup of coffee that you had this morning is, or how easy a route to work was for you, or somebody holding the door open for you. Thank y'all for sharing the life. I appreciate that. When you start on the micro, the universe starts bringing you macro things. Bigger, 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 because it's like, okay, you can handle it, and you are being thankful and grateful. Let's see, receiving mode. When I talk about how important it is to be thankful and receive the things that the universe is trying to give you, like those compliments, that's telling the universe, I'm ready to receive. If you're telling the universe, like, that's not my manifestation, that's not what I asked for, okay, you are telling them, I'm not ready. You've got to be in receiving mode. There is only so far that hustle and grind energy will take you, like 3D paradigm type of manifesting. When you can get into feeling your emotions and processing through this stuff, it takes your manifestation to like way new heights, because now you're working on an etheric Akashic field. Things manifest way quicker when you feel the emotions in your body before they happen. And we're going to talk about how to do that. So the second part to manifesting, the first is emotions, the second is visualizing. So when I'm talking to clients, sometimes they'll say, well, I don't have $1 million, or I don't have that house, or I don't have this and that and this and that. How do I feel the emotion if I don't have it? Okay, so let's pick something you want to manifest right now. What is something that you want to bring in the year of 2023 or moving forward? Not just physical things, but it can be like better relationships, you know, whatever. And we're going to think about that thing. Okay, so what feelings do you want to feel with that? Do you want to feel peace, joy, bliss, excitedness, elatedness, happiness? You know, what is that for you with that manifestation? So have you felt that way in your life before? At any time in your life? Maybe it's you graduating, maybe it's the birth of a child, maybe it's your wedding day, just anything. Okay, maybe it's you being at the beach, meditating out on the sand. When have you felt those emotions in your life before? Okay, we're going to think about that memory instead. We're going to think about how peaceful, I'm just going to use an example, how peaceful it is to sit at a lake. and we're going to put ourselves in that memory of us sitting at a lake. As an example. Really get into that memory. What sounds are going on around you? How are you feeling? What are you thinking? When you get into that frequency now of peace, or whatever that is, now think about your manifestation, because you're already in that frequency. If you are coming at your manifestations in stress and anxiety and be like, when is it happening? When's it going to come? I don't have it. That's pushing it away. It's bringing you more of that. Okay, it's like stress, anxiety, fear, stress, anxiety, fear. But if you can do the shortcut where we think about, okay, what feeling will that manifestation bring me? When have I felt that before? I'm going to sit in that memory. Now I'm going to think about my manifestation. Now you are creating new neural networking in your mind. Instead of this equals stress and anxiety, it's this equals bliss and happiness and serenity, or whatever that means for you. So instead of you automatically going to lack and I don't have it, your brain will go to, wow, I'm so excited to feel that when that comes in. And it doesn't even matter if it's here or not yet, because I can feel that inside already. Because you have to feel it inside before it will manifest outside of you. You cannot manifest from lack and stress and anxiety. You have to already be in the frequency. And you know what that already feels like because you felt it before. So just think about a different memory and then hop back into your manifestation when you're feeling that way. Don't think about your manifestations when you're like stressed and anxious. Think about something else. A different memory that you've had, and then think about it, because it just switches you over so quickly. Okay? It's another form of gratefulness too, because you're telling the universe like, wow, I'm so happy that I was able to experience this other thing, right? This is what I want my manifestation to feel like, just like that time. Because your subconscious works with experiences. You can tell your subconscious all the live long day, I'm a millionaire and all these things, but if it hasn't like seen evidence of it, it's hard for it to believe. But what it can believe is, oh, I felt this way before. Here's evidence. This is how this is going to feel too. Now we're proving to it like, oh no, we felt that way before, and this is exactly what it's going to bring us again. Okay. The memories, jumping in the memories, the evidence of, something that I've done before is to check all of my beliefs about money, like, or manifesting, just in general. Okay. Write them all out, like we talked about, all the self-limiting beliefs, and then run through all of them and tell your subconscious, here's evidence where that is not true. So for me, I have to only receive money from my job. I wrote that out and I said, that's not true, because I find money all the time. Like, I find money on the street. People give me money. People donate money to me, give, whatever. Or another one might be, I will always be stuck in this place I'm at, in my house, because I want to move. That's not true, because I've moved a lot of times. Okay? You have to give your brain an example of how that thing's not true. So when that self-limiting belief comes up, you say, no, thank you for trying to keep me safe. Okay? Because we always like to pull on past narratives as examples, how to predict our future, but then that's how we get caught in these loops of the same thing happening over and over and over and over again. It's just simply not true. So what is that for you? What is a self-limiting belief that is coming up? I guarantee you that if you sit with that, you can find some type of evidence to counterbalance it. And that's how your subconscious works. You have to give it evidence that that is not true. Okay? Even if it's a quote-unquote like small thing, right? Okay. Another thing with the visualizing and feeling it inside first, I'm going to tell you like this little story. So our inner children are usually the ones that are feeling the lack mentality and the fear and the anxiety because they're children. Okay, so we have to come in and create the safe spaces for them and make them feel loved and seen and heard and validated for their feelings too. Like when my inner kids are doing a little freak out, I say, hey, what's going on? And instead of trying to shush them and say like, don't think about that, or that's not true, it's true for them. And so I say, tell me all the self-limiting beliefs. And then we're going to sit together and we're going to talk through it. And I'm going to reiterate to you how those things aren't true in our reality. Okay, so I went to this play or a musical, and I was, watching, and this lady came out, and she had this dress on. She looked like $1 million. Like, she was gorgeous. And the inner girl inside of me said, because I don't even like to wear dresses now. I used to wear them when I was younger, so I knew it was coming from her. Hey, Mitzi. She said, I wish that we could afford that. She said, I will never be able to afford a dress like that. And I said, whoa. I said, that's not true. While I'm watching the musical, like in my mind, I said, we can have anything that we want right now in here, because we have to feel it in here first. I said, watch this. And I told her to close her eyes, and I snapped my fingers, and she was wearing the dress. And she was so excited. She was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I could experience that right now and have it. And I was like, girl, you can have anything you want here. Anything. Don't ever let your 3D paradigm reality make you think that you can't have the things that you want right this second, because you can. That's an internal experience. And when you really realize that on a very deep level, it starts projecting outside of you in your reality. So there are so many times where I will take my inner children to like a trip to Australia, because that's where I want to go with my son in the 3D world, okay? Or I will take them, to a spa day, because now we're feeling the emotions of what that thing is going to feel like, and your subconscious doesn't know the difference whether that's real or not. And then it will start pulling things in your outer reality to make it true, to make it real. It is real to your subconscious. So like if I take my inner children to a spa day and we are feeling lovely and relaxed and happy and blissful and make it like a whole party, this doesn't have to be an hour thing. Like it can be like 10 minutes, okay? Internal experience. We've already felt it. We know what it feels like. So I'm telling the universe, like, it's already happened. That's how you quantum shift and collapse timelines. You're like, that's already happened. I've already been there. I've already done that. Now 3D reality collapses in to bring you that experience, because it takes a little bit longer in the 3D reality. When you act like, oh, that's already done, that's already happened, and I've already experienced it, shows up. Okay? I just want you to know you are speaking. Good, I'm glad it's resonating. So if you have deep rooted fears and anxiety and not processing your emotions that are coming from childhood, it's going to serve you 1,000,000 times better to take them on those internal experiences. You do so much healing when you do that, because now we're creating safe spaces. We're helping them tap into their magic and your magic. You're opening up your upper 3 chakras. You're releasing all that heavy bottom trauma in your lower chakras. You can completely reset your whole energy field. It takes time and it takes practice, but now it's super easy for me to do. Like, very easy. And I can hear my inner children like very clearly, especially when they're triggered or something comes up like a behavioral pattern cycle. It wasn't easy in the beginning. It takes practice and a commitment to like keep going back in and doing this, but it really will shift you into a whole new reality. Because now we're tapped into our emotions, but we have to get through the icky yucky ones first in order to get to, and when I say they're icky yucky, they're not. It's just like, that's how life works. It's like a pendulum. Like, how would you experience like wildly fun bliss if you didn't know what that other emotion was over here? It's counter emotion. So they're all beautiful. in their own way. You have to know what you don't want sometimes to know what you do want. You have to have that like contrast. If anybody listens to Abraham Hicks, should be talking about it all day. Since you connected me to my inner children the first time, I can hear them so clearly. Yes. That's why I love working with inner children too. The type of sessions that I do are you actually meeting with your inner child, like in the ethers. Like we go up there and you actually speak to them as a consciousness form, and you really start to realize it's not a memory. And that's the type of healing that I like to teach people, this quantum level healing, because healing the memories is one layer. When you do quantum healing, you actually learn how to astral travel and how to heal them as a consciousness form, because they're still a living, breathing entity. They're just in a different time and space than you are right now. But that's how Akashic record healing works. Is you actually go in and start working with them as an actual person that's a part of you. It's a different part of you. That's how past lives work. I hear them clearly after working with Brittany too. Oh, thank y'all. I appreciate it. I love working with inner kids. Okay, so we're going to talk about rituals now, especially for my neurospicy people. Any thoughts on effectiveness of EMDR? I haven't really done a deep dive into EMDR, but everybody that I've known that has participated in that has had like great results and they love it. And I also think it depends on the practitioner or the therapist, you know, just like with anything. Okay. So before we get into the rituals, these are different ways, like manifesting methods. Before we get into that, I want to tell everybody about, if you're watching this in January 2023 for my people on YouTube, I'm hosting a 3-day live masterclass, and we're going to talk about all these things way more in depth. We're going to talk about bringing more cash into your life, financial peace, how to align your chakras, how to connect with your inner children on this level, how to amplify your manifestation abilities. Like, we're gonna get into it. Okay, and I'm gonna give you a ton of tools to take forward with you, like all the things that I have learned on my journey and that have helped me and my clients. So if you want to sign up for that, if you're on YouTube, you can look down here in the description below, or if you're here on the live, you can go up to my bio and there's a link for it, and you can sign up. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and there'll be a Q&A, and we'll do some chit-chatting back together. If you have questions about anything, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, and the replays will be available too. I know a lot of people won't be able to be there live because of time zone difference, but all the replays will be for whoever signs up as well. Okay, so rituals with manifesting. Doesn't matter which one you do. Like, I have learned through working with other people and myself, literally does not matter what manifestation technique that you're doing. It's the consistency of doing one. And what that is doing is keeping it present in your mind that you're focused on abundance and prosperity. This is where my neurodivergent, neurospicy people get tripped up, because we pick up on a ritual or a tool and then we do it for a little while and then we never see it again. Because the way that our brain works is we like the nuance of new things. And so if you try and do a 30-day challenge, 30 days is a little bit easier, but let's say like a 90-day challenge, you're gonna burn out and you're gonna stop getting dopamine from that, and then you're just gonna stop doing it altogether. And then you don't pick up another tool, and so that's when your manifestations start to go downhill. Because I have been in that cycle before where I'm doing great, manifesting, and then all of a sudden nothing's coming in. That's because I got burnt out on that tool and then didn't pick up another one. And then just like let it go. And then I felt super shameful and guilty for, you know, not staying on it. But that's just how my brain works. And that's how a lot of us do. Like, most of the people watching this are probably gonna be neurodivergent. Even if you haven't gotten like a diagnosis, that's typically the people that I work with or pull in. How long is each class for the masterclass? It'd be like an hour 15. Hour 15, I would say. So let's take, it doesn't matter what tool that you're using. It's just that you're doing one. So I have a plethora of tools that I can go to when I get bored with one. I have 5 or 6 that I keep in rotation Like some days I feel like journaling, and that's my manifestation technique. And then some days I feel like doing something completely different. I feel like listening to some affirmations. Or, you know, like there's a whole bunch of, I'm going to go over some, but there's a whole bunch of different ones. If you can have 5 or 6 that you rotate through, it doesn't really matter which one. You're just ever keeping it present in your mind. I'm focused on abundance. I'm focused on prosperity. I'm focused on feeling these good emotions, right? Oh, I started my vision board on Pinterest. I love it. Thank you. Yay, we're going to talk about that one. That's my favorite one right now. Yay, Mitzi. Okay, so the first one is, I learned this from a different coach. Her name is Natalia Benson. And so she said to write down every single piece of money that you receive for 3 months. Like you get out 3 sheets of paper, or you can do it on your phone. And let's just say you do January, February, and March. You write down every single piece of money. It doesn't matter if you find a penny on the floor, if somebody gives you $5, everything. Because when you do that, now your subconscious is like, ooh, we're getting more money, we're doing more. Where else can it come from? Now it's like a fun game. Okay, but you have to put everything down, because you're telling the universe also, I'm grateful for everything. So when I did this, every month my money increased. By the 3rd month, I doubled the amount from my first one. This one you have to stay a little bit more consistent on though. This one you got to stay consistent, because that one is different. Okay, because that's how that one specifically works. But even 3 months isn't too hard to manage, you know what I mean? What's Natalia's last name? Her last name is Benson, Natalia Benson, Benson. She is a manifestation coach. And so for 3 months, you can put it in your phone too, because sometimes if we put things on paper, if you are neurodivergent, they disappear, or you never see them again, or you don't think about it. But you can also put a widget on the background of your phone. Like I have a widget that says Money Magic, and I put all the amounts I receive every single day. Or if you receive it once a week or once a month or whatever yours is, right? You got to put it somewhere that you will see it consistently and make it a ritual to do it every day. The next one is write down 20 beliefs about money every day. I love that one. It's super fun. It's money feels like me playing with puppies. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly. Money feels like sunshine on my face. Money feels like, or it could be any manifestation. Having a new house makes me feel safe. It could be my career. I have coworkers who I love. Putting it down on paper, it's a way for your subconscious to look at outside of yourself. It's almost like how affirmations work. Like you're reiterating it to your brain over and over and over again. And when you see it on the paper, it's a little bit different than doing it in your mind, because now you're objectively kind of looking at it and seeing it back at you. It's almost like mirror work. And so that's one of my tools. If I don't feel like doing something one day, I'll just get out a piece of paper and I'll write 20 beliefs about money or my manifestations. You want to travel? What's one we can do for travel? Travel means me flying first class. Or travel means me me traveling with ease and grace. Because traveling can bring up some stress sometimes. Okay, so 20 beliefs about whatever you're trying to manifest. That's another tool. I'm going to show y'all my favorite one. This is something that has been like a huge game changer for me, and it's something I stick to because it's different every day. So Pinterest, I don't know if anybody's on there. Pinterest, you can make a living, breathing vision board. I have a vision board up on my up on my wall from like 3 years ago, and I love it, and it's still up there because it reminds me of past Brittany. But you can't really add to it, and so it kind of gets stale And if something doesn't resonate with you anymore, it's still on there, and then you got to create a whole new one, right? Ooh, flying on the airplane is so relaxing. See? That's a belief about traveling you can put on there. So this is my vision board on Pinterest. I, every single day, look at this every day. If I feel like my vibration is kind of like going downhill or self-limiting beliefs start coming up, I go to my Pinterest board and I'll just be scrolling on it. When I'm going to show you all these pictures, it's not really about the specific manifestations on there. Like I have art, I have things that I want in my home. It's more about the vibe, about the feeling, the emotions. So y'all are going to see a whole bunch of different stuff on there. It's not about the physical things always, but you can put anything you want there. And then if it doesn't resonate, take it out. Keep adding into it. It grows and it evolves. And then when you go back in there, that's you as a higher self. That's you. Like I was having that thought when I was looking at my board, and I was like, this is already me. Like, even though I don't quote unquote have all these things in the 3D reality yet, this is an external representation of where I'm already at with my frequency. Doesn't matter if I have it yet or not, because I wouldn't be attracted to those things unless they were already inside of me. But those self-limiting beliefs of like, oh, I don't have it yet, or it's not my reality, doesn't matter. Okay, because we gotta feel it inside first. Okay, so I'm gonna show y'all mine. Hopefully we can see it. So I have all these different clothes because I want to start dressing different. I have all these different places like travel. Let me turn this brightness down, that might help. Oh, much better. But you can see like I have a tiger and a bird. It's not really about the tiger and the bird, like that's not what I want it's about. But it's more about the energy. Okay, I'm also an energy healer, so this is how I want people to feel when they're in my energy field or when I'm helping them heal too. So like it extends out past like the actual manifestations. Okay, so I have flowers, crystals, rich girl energy, okay? And then we get further down and I've got like fairy stuff, right? This is, even though I don't have all these things yet, I wouldn't be attracted to these things unless they were already my frequency. So when I go into my Pinterest board, right, it's like, this is already us. And it brings me into these feelings of elatedness and happiness. See, I have these wonderful goddess energy here. It brings me into those feelings of like, no, this is me. And this makes me really happy and joyful and blissful to look at this. It switches my frequency immediately. So when I have self-limiting beliefs come up, oh, we're just gonna go to Pinterest. Okay, and keep building our life. Affirmations for your board name. I love that. You can make multiple boards. You can have one for your house, you can have one for your car, you can have one for your home, you can have one for your money. All these different boards, but they're a living, breathing form that's growing and evolving with you. So it's different than like one up on your wall. This is my favorite thing to do. Okay. It's also even more beneficial if you look at it first thing when you wake up or right before you go to bed, because that's when your subconscious is the most open to reception for like affirmations and things like that. So if upon waking you go straight to that Pinterest board, now your subconscious is on the lookout for those things in your reality. And because you're doing cell regeneration while you're sleeping, and you're doing like astral type of work, okay, for my Lightworkers in here, if you look at it right before you fall asleep, like the last thing, your subconscious like starts trying to work on that throughout night of how can I bring this into our reality, our 3D reality. So you're waking up abundant and prosperous, and you're going to sleep abundant and prosperous in those emotions. Okay. Can you keep a screenshot of your board as a background on your phone? Oh yeah, absolutely. We look at our phones constantly. So whatever you want to bring into your life, if you put it as the background of your phone, you're constantly looking at it. It's like mirror work, or like writing affirmations out or journaling, because you're constantly looking at it. Make your background of your phone like whatever you want to bring in. and then periodically change it out, especially if you are neurospicy, because you get used to seeing it. Okay, and then you don't see it anymore. So like once a week, change it out, put a bunch of money on there, put a house, put an airplane. If you want to travel, whatever you want it to do, just keep changing it out. That's your vibe, it's you. I do that but never realize magnitude. I want to explain that Pinterest board is future you. And that is how you quantum shift into them. Because you are embodying that frequency more and more and more, and getting very ever-present clear on what you want your life to look like. And now you have a compass, and your subconscious is in your perceptual lenses are set on, this is me, and this is who I'm becoming. It's not a dream, it's a reality. You can literally quantum shift by doing that Pinterest thing. Because that's a person. That is you. Okay, future you. So another one is we need to be really mindful about what we're consuming, because when I first started on healing my money mindset, abundance, and prosperity, I would be watching people talk about how broke they are and how awful the world is and how the rich have all the money and all of these like things. So if you consume that stuff, that will be your reality. The more what you put in is what you get out, and vice versa. And at first, it was validating to realize that I wasn't the only one that felt that way. So it was healing at first, but then it just started to reiterate that in my paradigm. So do you have people around you constantly talking about how broke they are and how they can't make money, or why they can't do this and why they can't do that, and self-limiting beliefs and blah, 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 and you're on TikTok and social media and all this stuff, and you're just scrolling, listening to all this stuff? It's going straight back into your subconscious. Especially when you're watching TV or social media, because you get in this theta state where you're more relaxed, and then your subconscious is way open. There's a reason that it's called TV programming, because it is programming your reality. Like, the universe literally works like an algorithm. You work like an algorithm, just like your social media. What you put in is what you get out. Like, if you start thinking about yellow cars, and then you go out and you start seeing yellow cars everywhere, the same thing works with your money, or how you feel about yourself, like your self-love, or how you perceive your relationships. If you are constantly watching people talk about how awful dating is and how awful the dating world is, then your subconscious and your reality in the universe will bring you evidence of that in experiences. So it'll say, well, here you go. Here's proof of that. Okay, so we need to switch our mindset to only watching and listening to things that are getting us to where we want to go. Because it's real easy to get into that, because you're like, okay, I'm not the only one, and that's healing to a point, but then it becomes toxic and detrimental. And I was there too. Like, I used to watch all these type of drama shows, like so much catty, nasty drama, and then I would see that in my relationships, because that's what I was focused on. That's what I was pouring energy and attention to. When I cut that out, didn't have that in my life anymore, because I wasn't hyper focused on it. So we need to be watching people that are talking about being abundant and prosperous and believing themselves, and like, find you some mentors. Okay, and I don't always mean it has to be like a paying mentor. It can be some people that you look up to. Like, when I first started on my spiritual awakening journey, there was like Victor Odo and Aaron Dowdy and Lori Ladd and Christina Lopes and all these like big spiritual awakening, or spiritual journey people. I would watch their stuff because I was like, that is the type of person that I want to be. That's the type of life I want to have. That's how I want to experience life. We have to watch that, especially if you're an empath. Lexine here talking about listening to sad or angry music. When you're an empath or a light worker, you can feel people's emotions and thoughts and stuff that's going on in their subconscious, even if they're on the other side of a screen. even if it's a video that was taken and posted on TikTok or whatever, okay, you are absorbing their stuff on a very deep level. You are literally taking in their emotions. So if somebody's talking about, I hate the world, I'm so broke, and just being so deep down in victimization mode, and I'm not saying to like bypass, because some of us have dealt like a very heavy hand, but you can't stay there. Okay, it's your responsibility to get out, and sometimes it takes a little while. I've been there too, right? But if you constantly keep reiterating those things into your subconscious and your reality, then you'll just stay in that behavioral cycle, in that pattern. You have to be more forward thinking and ignore what is going on inside of your present reality right now. Like, yeah, maybe you only have $100 in the bank, okay? But it's not, and I've been there too, it is not going to serve you to listen to people about being broke. Because then it's just going to set your lenses to prove that to yourself even more. Flood your consciousness with things that are more positive for you, that make you feel happy, that make you feel joyful, that make you feel abundant. Because you'll get more of it, and you'll start to see things shift in your reality to match it. That will show you like, oh, here's how you're abundant, here's how you're prosperous, here's how you can get your manifestation, here's a new idea, here's a new download. Okay. So container push. This is something that really helps me. This is a hard truth. Okay, this one's about money. So somebody, I can't remember who it was that said this, but it was, hold on one second, because I want to tell y'all who this is, because she really like changed my life with my money stuff. Okay, abundance template. But okay. Reagan Hiller. I can't remember her last name. Reagan Hiller. She's on YouTube. She does a ton of stuff about money mindset. So she said to take all your money that you've earned all year, everything that you've brought in, divide it by 12, and that's where your container space is set. That's how much your subconscious will allow you to get to from what mindset you're at right now. And when she said that, I was like, ooh, I don't want to do that, because that's not going to be fun looking at that, and I'm going to feel awful. And my higher self was like, well, are you going to just continue doing what you're doing right now? Or are you going to take a look at it? Okay, this is when I mean that we have to process these heavier emotions and process our thoughts. Because if you don't, then you'll just be stuck. And so I had to take everything I had earned, divide it by 12, look at it, and I was like, ew. Okay, but that's where my money mindset was at that level. And so she was suggesting, and you can look up this video, it's called Abundance Template, and she has a bunch of different ones on there on YouTube. She said that we need to push our container. So if you are making $30,000 and you want to be a millionaire, but you're not even at $40,000, it's going to be a difficult jump for you to get there. You have to work on a level in which your mind will believe and pushes you further. Okay, so $40,000 is probably enough, and I'm not saying $40,000, just like $10,000 more than what you're making right now is enough to where you're like, okay, I could believe that I could get there. I don't know how, but I can believe that. If you are pushing for $1 million, it's like, your subconscious is shutting that down. Like, girl, no. Okay, so we incrementally work on pushing our container. I have done this whenever I've raised my prices in my business. Like, I incrementally do it so that my subconscious is more receptive to it. So when I did this exercise, I said, I'm going to manifest $6,000 in a month. That was a huge jump for me from where I was at, but it was enough to where it was manageable for me to do. And I cracked down on my mindset. and my affirmations and making sure that I was doing these rituals constantly, and I manifested that $6,000. And that next month, $6,000 came in. I was shocked. But that wouldn't have happened unless I took a look at my self-limiting beliefs and where I was sitting with my money to be able to push myself and make myself go that far. Then I had to push my container space even further, because if you're not pushing it, then you stay stuck and stagnant. And so, like, when I say these things are can happen for you, they can't, because I can constantly push my container space, but I also have to keep checking in on what are my self-limiting beliefs. Why are those coming up? Are those coming up from my inner children? And this is not just money, this is like any manifestation. But money's a big one for people, that's why I'm focusing on that so much. But you have to keep pushing it, but you got to look at the stuff you don't want to look at in order to clear it out. So that's why I mean with the emotional stuff. But find a number pushes you enough that you can prove it to yourself. And then when you hit that, you got to keep doing it. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay? Until you get to the level that you're trying to be at. Because we all say I want to be a millionaire, but we're not getting further incrementally up from where we are at right now. Okay? And when you do that, it puts your mindset, like when I said, oh, I want $6,000, it put my subconscious and my mindset in like, let's go. I would love some new ideas and downloads, universe, and spirit guides, and I'll follow my intuition and do the things that you're asking me to do and keep doing the work. And when you stay on it, it manifests. And I felt it inside beforehand. Like I always worked on those internal experiences with my inner children and helped them feel safe along the way, and then process those emotions when they came up with them, and it manifested. I was shocked when it happened. But when you're doing all these different layeral things and you're not beating yourself up for not staying on the same ritual like we talked about, if you missed that part, this will be up on YouTube. If you're neurospicy, have a whole bunch of tools that you can rotate through. It's so much easier to manifest this way. So who am I a year from now? This one is very important. We have all of these big goals that we want, but then you don't even know what your micro goals are in between. Who are you a year from now? When I'm talking to clients, sometimes I'll say like, okay, you want to be a millionaire, you want to travel the world, you want to own your own business. Who are you a year from now? And they say, I don't know. And I'm like, that's the missing link in the chain. Because you do not have enough fuel to get to those bigger ones, because you don't have smaller goals on the way to that one. So what kind of emotions do you want to feel as the higher self version of you a year from now? What personality traits do they have? What kind of things are they thinking about themselves? What beliefs do they hold over themselves? How are they showing up? What are they saying to themselves every day? Are they taking care of themselves? It's not always about like physical appearance, it's intrinsic values and how committed you are to self. So it's really like, sometimes people can't even get to a year. Who are you 3 months from now? Who are you 6 months from now? Because when you start thinking from that lens of, am I behaving and thinking and acting like future me who's making $10,000 extra, or has moved into a new place, or has a better relationship with their partner? Now you're kind of, this is where we get into like Akashic record work, because now we're objectively coming up here on the observation deck of our life as a spirit guide to self, and be like, nah, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, I have to check myself on things like that all the time too. Like I'll start going down like self-limiting belief land, or doing things based out of fear, and then I have to say, hold on, would that version of me a year from now be doing this stuff? No. Would that version of me be letting my house get all discluttered? No. Would they be exercising to get all of these stress hormones and cortisol out of their body? Absolutely. Would they be drinking a ton of water to keep their channels clear? Yes. Would they be watching videos about being confident and having good self-esteem to keep it ever present in their mind? Yes, they would. Would they be listening to this music that making them feel sad? No, they would not. So now we're able to come kind of like, as we can perceive our life as the higher self and then integrate it in. Perceive, integrate. Observe, integrate. But if you don't have a clear picture of who you are a year from now, you get lost and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. You don't have anybody that you're trying to embody. You have to have a version of yourself. That is how I've completely shifted my life. There's a lot of things, but that's the biggest one, is what can I do today to get me to this next version of myself? Because there's different higher selves. Sometimes people, when I'm talking to people, they're like, oh, there's this higher self, it's like way off down there. There are so many different versions of your higher self. You're trying to get to this one. You're not trying to get to this one because that's overwhelming and exhausting. You're trying to get right here. And then when you get here, you have new perceptual lenses and a new reality, and you're resonating on a different frequency. Now we try and get to this one. That creates enough room for things to adjust if they need to as well. Like when I was going to school for psychology, I was getting my bachelor's and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go get my PhD because I want to be a clinical psychologist. And I was always focused on the next me. Okay, not way down. Because there was a split in my timeline where I was like, I actually don't want to do that. I don't know what I want to do. And now, you know, I became an energy healer and whatever, but I became an energy healer. Let's not discount that. I became an energy healer because I left enough space for me to shift. I had this big macro goal of, I want to help people as a business. But then because I was doing incremental shifts to the next higher self, I could shift where I needed to. And it wasn't detrimental, because sometimes people have like this thought of themselves of, I'm gonna be this, and then they don't leave any room for things to change. And when that doesn't happen, it's not because it wasn't meant to, it's just you shifted as a person, and maybe your values or beliefs are different, or you want different things, but you're like so wrapped up in like, oh no, it's got to be this one way, right? And I went through that too, like letting go of being a clinical psychologist. Like that was my dream since I was like a little girl. Okay? And it was rocky letting that go and allowing the universe to better align my life for me. But micro, macro, who are you a year from now? If you need help with that and figuring out who you want to be, I put together a higher self guide. If you go to my bio up there, there's a link that'll take you there, or if you're on YouTube, it's in the description here. And I help you, it's a map. It lists out what emotions, what feelings, what are my goals for this next year. And if you don't meet all those goals, it's fine. Forward movement is forward movement. We just have a better compass of where we're headed and what we need to stay on top of, and what type of behaviors that we need to exhibit in order to get there, or feelings that we need to have, or actions that we need to take. So if you want that, it's free. You can print it out. But it breaks down all the different areas of your life. So it's a little bit easier. It's hard to let go and make room. Yeah, control is definitely something that's very heavy to heal sometimes, especially if you experience a lot of trauma in childhood, because sometimes that's the only way you've been able to keep yourself safe. So that's when we get into hyper masculinity, not male, but like masculine energy is a protective form. It's like, let me control everything so I know exactly what the outcome is going to be. But when you do that, it takes out all the space and opportunities for the universe to be able to bring you something different. So when I was holding on to that timeline of me being a psychologist, oh my gosh, it was such a rough experience, because I was like, no, this is what I said I'm gonna do. But the universe is like, girl, please stop so we can get you doing this other stuff. It was really me. We're all different lenses and perspectives of ourselves. Everyone, people, whatever. So when I was talking about compliments earlier, when people are trying to pay you compliments, that's actually you. That's something that I learned along the way too, is we're all from source. We're all different perspective lenses. So when somebody's paying you a compliment and you don't accept it, you're disrespecting yourself. Because that's actually you talking to you. And you're like, wake up, wake up, wake up. You're amazing. You're wonderful. You're loved. Let me help you with this. All these things, that's you talking to you. And then when you talk to other people, it's them talking to them. That's how we raise the collective consciousness. Anyway, we don't have to get super into that. So this is an affirmation that I want to extend to everyone. It's been going around on social media, and this is something that I've been running in my subconscious all day long, constantly. Anytime I have a doubt or a worry or a fear, everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. Find evidence during your day how things are working out for you. Did I have a very easy route to work? Of course I did. Everything always works out for me. Did I have pleasant conversations with people today? Of course I did, because everything works out for me. When you start to provide your subconscious with evidence, with micro things, then it starts to do that with the macro things. Everything is always working out for me. Oh my gosh, I found a quarter on the floor. Of course I did. Money loves me. And everything is always working out for me. Keep it going. Okay? Find evidence of how that's true. And then your subconscious starts to believe it. And then that becomes you as a person. You are the type of person that everything works out for. Because you reset your personal algorithm. You reset your reality to be that person. But you gotta keep at it. Okay, so again, if you are here live, or if you're watching this in the year of 2023 on YouTube and it's January, I'm doing a 3-day masterclass. It's going to be live. The replays will be available too if you're not able to attend live. But we're going to be talking about money, manifesting, and magic, and how to bring more of that into your reality. And so I'm going to show you how to align your chakras. I'm going to show you how to connect with your inner children on a deeper level, how to bring more money into your life, like cash flow, how to have more financial peace. Okay? If you want to join with us, it's going to be super fun. It's going to be on Zoom, and it'll be recorded, like I said. There is information down here in the description, and there's ways to sign up in my bio up there. I signed up, but we'll have to do the replay because I am PST. PSD, and that's okay too. You'll still get all the benefits from it too, as well. And there'll be Q&A for people that are live as well, in case you want to ask questions. Okay, everyone, if anybody has questions, I'll stay on for a moment to see if I can answer anybody for anybody. It is going to be 6 p.m. EST, and the dates are on the information up in my link. It's the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. But I'm going to give you all I got from what I learned on my journey and what has helped me. Because that inner child stuff and the chakras, those are some of the most important things with manifesting, because like we talked about before, like heavy, dense trauma energy and unprocessed emotions cause stress and anxiety. And when you are stressed and anxious and fearful and shameful and feeling guilty and all this stuff, it cuts off your imagination and creation and your magic. Because from a human biological standpoint, you're not worried about imagination and creation if you feel like a tiger is chasing you, which is the exact same feeling you get from like a boss being very angry with you in an email, or you having a fight with your spouse. Like, anxiety is just anxiety. Central nervous system kick on is just central nervous system kick on. Doesn't know if it's a tiger or you having an argument. So you have to learn how to reset your reality and de-stress your life in order to be in this manifestation frequency and to do that more proficiently. I'm gonna go up here. Right before my birthday. Yeah, I'm so excited. It is right before my birthday, the masterclass. And so it's also helping me like kick myself into like a new, not kick myself, but shift myself into a new level and frequency too on my end before my birthday. Used to jot angel numbers down, but someone said I'm manifesting the number, not the message. Angel numbers to me are like, I used to be like so hyper fixated on the messages, and sometimes I'll still look them up every now and then, but to me it's more about what are you thinking about when you see the number, because your guides are trying to like get you to be more mindful, and it's more about being in flow. Like synchronizations happen when you're not as stressed and anxious and when you're more flowing and in your imagination and creation. So synchronicities are more like guiding you, saying like, hey, you on the right track, because you're being more present. So sometimes it's about the messages, but like to me it's more about being in flow and being tapped into your magic and like being more in that divine feminine energy and present. I'm so excited for this. Yay, thank you. All right, everybody. I'm gonna get off now. This will be up on YouTube if you want to watch the replay. It was about an hour and a half. So if you weren't here for the first portion, it'll be up there later this evening. And again, the masterclass is up there. If you, the 12-week workshop you're doing. Okay, the 12-week workshop, the one that I posted on Instagram, that's actually my mentorship program. My mentorship programs are one-on-one. That is personalized coaching from me. So that one is not actually a masterclass, that you work with me one-on-one. That is some like very intensive, excuse me, I've been talking for a minute. That is some very intensive work to reset your whole reality paradigm. That is where we go through all of your inner child healing stuff and work on your subconscious and reset your whole chakra system and just completely shift everything. And so that takes a 101. So if anybody's interested in that as well, I do offer mentorship programs. And there is more information about that in my bio, in the link, and then down here in the description on YouTube, if you feel like you need one-on-one support, because it's a little bit different than coming together for like a collective masterclass, because then you can actually ask questions and do very deep healing. You're the best coach in the galaxy. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. That's so sweet. Thank you. I really want to do it. Nicole, let's do it. Let's do it. If you want to talk about it, send me a message, Nicole. Then we can talk about it. I have one that's 5 weeks and then one that's 12 weeks. The 5-week one is more about teaching you techniques and more about like esoteric topics to like get you started on your journey, but it's more like a self-healing.